guess what time it is. It's time for the Over the Bar podcast, where we talk and you listen, or not.
Let's do this now.
Okay.
The wildlife side is just crazy right now.
All right. I want to introduce my guest today, Mr. Pete Wise. We've been friends for, oh my God, it's got to be 40-some years now. You're a very well-known person in the community, and I am ecstatic to have you here on Over the Bar. So welcome, Pete.
I'm happy to be here. I was thrilled when you asked me.
So let's start with this. You've just recently retired from Search and Rescue, right?
I've backed up from Search and Rescue. So in the spring of 1964, I joined a group called the First Port Hammond Alouettes, which were a rover crew out of Maple Ridge. And I joined that crew, and they were doing the mountain rescue for that southern end of Garibaldi, like for
Garibaldi.
or the Golden Ears Park. They were doing that.
Where's that?
It's down on the coast, Maple Ridge.
Okay.
So 1964, I started. And then when I moved back up here again, my dad, of course, was up here, and I moved back up to the Okanagan again. I joined Vernon Search and Rescue and continued it on. So
No, were you the was Vernon Search and Rescue already going, or did you start it?
No, Vernon Search and Rescue was already going.
Okay. What year did Vernon Search and Rescue start?
They've been 60 some odd years going. So, but I had joined Search and Rescue on the coast first, and then came to Vernon.
Okay.
And joined Search and Rescue back in those days, and I've got, as of this last May, I have 61 years.
61 years.
61 years of rescuing bodies.
Oof.
You know, it's
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, because I remember when we worked together
Yeah.
at the Vernon Lodge, you were doing stuff like that. And I was amazed back then of what you guys were doing. Apparently, I was too much of a chicken to go out in the bush and help do that kind of stuff. But
we have moved so far forward here. Back in the early days, we did everything out of the back of pickup trucks. We were working out of a fellow's garden shed up on East Hill. We didn't have any radio communication, so Frank Martina, God rest his soul, he would come on and he would make the announcements, and we would all tune into the radio station.
because
we didn't have any radios.
So he would relay message over the radio
to Search and Rescue is being called out and report to the hall, or if it was a stand down, like if we found the guy, then he would put that on. So it was pretty neat, you know.
How did he find out? How was he able to report it back? I guess one of you guys would, because all that we had back then was landlines.
Yeah.
Somebody would have to run to the nearest payphone and phone.
Well, the landlines, and there was a few. I was one of the few that we ended up getting some shortwave radios. And this type of thing. And it was pretty interesting, let me tell you. It was there was lots of stuff going on, but we didn't have the volume of searches back in those days. You know, we'd get 6, 8, 10 searches a year. Now we're getting 60, 70 searches a year.
Is that because of population growth, or is that just because so many people are going out into the wilderness now?
A combination of things here, population growth, and also to the accessibility of communication. So like things like cell phones and that people are now able to phone and say, hey, I need help.
Right.
And that's exactly what we want them to do. There's no charge for Search and Rescue. Search and Rescue is a free service. And in the province of British Columbia, we do more searches in BC than the rest of Canada combined.
Why is that? Just because of our terrain? Or
the demographics of what we have as far as population, and then the terrain and this type of thing. And plus our capabilities, our rescue capabilities are second to none. They are just phenomenal.
You were an integral part of doing that too, bringing training to people and stuff. Because I think, if I remember, I read an article not too long ago. Basically, when you guys started out, there wasn't really much of a plan, and then you instigated a whole bunch of stuff, or instituted, not instigated, but instituted through training and stuff. You guys fine-tuned your rescue techniques and things?
Oh, yeah, you bet. And it went from back in the days. Now, I spent, I think, 13 years on the Search and Rescue Advisory and was part of the original group that formed the BC Search and Rescue Association, the Rescue Association. I was involved with that group. And so we did a lot of training, and even myself, my fortes were swiftwater rescue.
Okay.
And they would take us down to Spence's Bridge and chuck us in the water and make us swim to Lytton. You know,
oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh boy, is going through those rapids down there and this type of thing was pretty incredible. I did that, I don't know, 3-4 times I went down.
So
there.
you would have went down that in a boat,
No, we're swimming.
So they just throw a life jacket on you and say, make it through.
You wetsuit and a life jacket and say, have a good time. Okay? And
how many hours were you in the water for?
beg your pardon?
How many hours would it take you to?
We're about 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours. But we do that like 3 days in a row. And then we're doing high-angle rescues. We're establishing rope lines and doing some pretty technical rope stuff. And it was.
So is this all stuff you guys developed on your own, or was?
No, we were training with an organization, and you'll have to forgive me. My memory just evaporated for a minute. It'll come back to me.
I know I have that problem too.
Yeah, well, it's like a giant filing cabinet. Everything's in there, but it takes a while to
right.
sort. Yeah.
Got to blow the dust off.
Yeah. Rescue 3 North.
Okay.
Okay. And we were training with these folks, and then we would bring the skills back to the group.
Okay.
And when we brought the skills back to the group, it gave us an opportunity to train our guys to go out and do things. And we did, like swiftwater rescue, flat ice rescue, which was a really scary thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I thought that...
No, it's all good. My cat's over there deciding she wants to go outside. We'll let our producer go let the cat out for a sec.
Take a break.
So they threw you into the river at Spence's Bridge, which is absolutely rough as crazy.
Yeah, that stretch in between Spence Bridge to before it hits the Fraser, there's a couple, and there's a wave they call the Green Monster, and it's an 18-foot wall of standing water.
18-foot wall of standing.
Yeah, it's just a great big huge pillow of water.
And it's there constantly?
Yeah, it's there constantly, and so we would come into that. So the first time I went over, it was a sheer terror. The second and third times we went, holy, and we would turn around halfway down, and then we would surf on the backside of the wave.
Do you want to see if you can find a picture of this thing?
Yeah, they called it the Green Monster.
Green Monster, and that was on which river?
It was on the Thompson.
The Thompson River, and that's where you guys did.
We go from the Thompson River down to Lytton, down to the Fraser.
Okay,
and then we would pull out down there. Okay.
That on boat to that, or no, still just swimming in the water.
Swimming in the water.
Yeah.
Okay. No, there would be like one of the instructors or two of the instructors in an inflatable.
They'd follow,
and the rest of us guys would all be swimming. Okay, and they're given directions. They want you to do this. They want you to do that, and they're testing you. They're certifying you while you're on the river. So.
Oh, crazy!
It was.
And then you said there was some highline stuff that you had to do?
Yeah, so highlines on a different, what we would do is we would rig a line up between the riverbanks and tension the line, and then ferry guys back and forth across the line on the tension. Because invariably, if you went looking for somebody, they would be on the other side of the river.
Murphy's Law.
And and you'd have to go and get them out of there, Yeah. So it was pretty interesting.
So
there's not really any pictures of it.
No pictures?
No pictures?
Oh, too bad.
Did they mention it?
Yeah, it's mentioned on river rafting sites and stuff, but not really pictures of it.
Okay. Now, there was one thing that I did read not too long ago, something that you got an award for a rescue at Panoose Lake.
Yeah, that was... So I'm a professional.
What year was that?
That
90.
Gosh, I can't remember.
90 was in the 90s.
In the 90s.
Yeah, I think it was 96 or 97.
So I'm a professional trapper. I run a trap line. That's how I made my living over and above, or augmented
about
my
that.
augmented my living. And so one night I pulled down into Panoose Lake. It was right about dinner time, 5, 6 o'clock. And there's Panoose Lake, there's a bit of a pond, and then there's Lady King Lake. And as I pulled down there and shut my sled off, I could hear.
So this was in the winter.
Oh yeah, this is
Trapping winter, yeah, obviously. Okay.
So I can hear somebody screaming. So I run over this little hill, and I can see a kid down on the water, or down on the ice. He's falling through the ice. He's up to his neck, and he's having so I went running around the lake, and I literally had to jump to get him, and I'm in water up to my waist type thing, and because I broke through the ice, I grab him by the back of the scruff of the jacket and pull him up onto shore, which is very cool. But the screaming doesn't stop. I'm going, and then I look on the other side of the pond, and there's a girl up to her neck in water, just hanging on.
On the other side of the lake?
On the other side of the pond. There was
Okay.
two of them. So I went running around the other side of the pond, and she's out a bit. So what I did is I jumped from tree to tree. I managed to grab her by the hair in the back of the jacket and pull her up onto the ice, and got her back onto shore as well, and then took the two of them. Their parents were in one of the cabins down there.
Okay, so they had cabins there?
Yeah, they
right.
had cabins.
Panoose
They
had
were,
cabins.
and so I took them, got them down there, and I went down to the lodge, told them what happened, and they let me dry my pants out and whatever. So then the awards thing and whatever came afterwards. But a strange thing happened about, I'm going to say 15 years later. I'm trapping muskrats up on what they call Stevens Swamp. And I've got a fellow with me from Toronto who used to be on the protective services for Julian Fantino, who was the mayor of Toronto. And, and Robbie was on his protection detail. And we're back in this nowhere, back in this lake, and all of a sudden an old red Mazda pulls in, a truck pulls in, and they said, what you doing? And I told them, we're up here trapping muskrats. And the passenger looked over at me and he said, are you Pete Weiss? And I said, yeah. Thinking,
Oh, it can go one way or the other right now, yeah.
He says, I just wanted to thank you. He says, that was my daughter you saved, and I never got an opportunity to thank you for saving her life.
On Panoose Lake.
Yeah, and so it's funny how, and this is in the middle of nowhere, and Robbie was going, oh my God. So I had to tell him the story. I'd never mentioned to him either.
Yeah.
So.
Robbie, that's your son?
That Robbie was my buddy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the buddy with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were these two related at Panoose Lake? Like
they were brother and sister.
Brother and sister.
Yeah.
And they just happened to be on opposite sides and both fell through at the same time.
Sides of the water, and I happened to be the right person at the right place.
time. Yeah.
So I did get a letter from Honorable Ray Natition saying thank you for your efforts, and
Oh, sweet.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah. You also got an award for King Charles III.
Yeah.
Well, what was that one for?
That was one that was given to me by the Premier
Okay.
and Lieutenant Governor for service to the province of British Columbia and Canada.
Through Search and Rescue.
Search and Rescue.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty special.
You were how many years in Search and Rescue?
61 this year.
Or you've retired, have you not? Are you still part?
Wow.
Because I read in an article that you had retired.
I'd retired
and they
from
had to make a 57th pin for you because nobody ever got.
Still haven't. They just decided to make a new one, and they said that we're going to get them. But the whole thing, like, is just the longevity. But I've worked with so many wonderful, wonderful people over the years. That it's just amazing. This search and rescue group here, people don't realize how truly special that this search and rescue group is. Okay. They are absolutely phenomenal.
Well, the work that you guys do is absolutely amazing, for sure. I mean, how many lives have you guys saved just in the Okanagan area? Never mind what search and rescue has done in the province of British Columbia.
Yeah, it's amazing, Carmen, because what ends up happening is that, the call usually comes out about, you usually get the calls about 7, 8 o'clock on a Sunday night.
Right.
Okay? Or just when you're sitting down to that Christmas dinner or New Year's Eve or whatever, is when the call comes. And to have those men and women respond in the way that they do to that kind of an event, and some of it is some of them go for days. Mm-hmm. Some of them are quick, fast, in a hurry, which we all hope. We all hope for a successful outcome. It doesn't always happen that way,
right.
But we sure try.
What would you say would be the worst call you've ever been on?
Oh, I've had some terrible ones. And truthfully, I'm having a tough time with PTSD.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm having a tough time with that right now.
Do you go to like vehicle accidents, or are you just mainly backwoods?
We're backwoods, but backcountry, but some terrible, terrible things, and it's drownings and people falling off of cliff faces and snowmobile crashes and things like that. And some of it pretty hard.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, actually. That would be a false statement for me to be able to say I could imagine it, because I've been lucky enough to never have to see anything like that. And I can understand that, that would take a toll mentally on a person. It does,
and it has on me. That's probably the main reason I had to step back for a bit here. Was having a tough time. I have friends of mine that are Jeff Smedley, who has written a wonderful book on dealing with just that aspect of it and how it affects the searchers. It's quite debilitating. Like I get to a point where I can't watch television. I have certain things on TV that just
they trigger it.
Yeah,
okay.
They're really hard.
So I'm assuming that Search and Rescue has a program for you guys?
Yeah, they certainly do.
Okay.
They have a program. They're getting me into it right now, and so hopefully I can continue on. It's and of course what's happening too. I'm an old school trapper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, have done it all my life. I started
ever since I've known you. You've been trapping for sure.
I started when I was 10 years old.
Oh wow.
Okay. I started trapping, and no computers. Everything was all handwritten and done whatever. So now everything is all computers. Well, that doesn't work for me.
Oh, you're not? No? You're still doing it old school?
No, I'm still doing it old school. I still sit there, write everything down. Daytimers. I've got daytimers that go back for centuries, and I write everything down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you're out doing your search and rescue, though, you must be using some sort of electronic. I'm sure you're using GPSs and stuff like that.
GPSs.
I know that there was a day where you didn't need one. You just needed to look at the stars, and you knew exactly where the hell you were going. Because I remember you trying to teach me those things.
But you know what? Times have changed.
Yeah.
Times have really changed, and it's an interesting thing, and everything's moving ahead now. We've got that brand new search and rescue building up there that the group worked so hard to get established, and now we've got state-of-the-art technology.
So the building that I remember was up by Hillview Golf Course. That's still the same spot?
No. So we've got a brand new building. It's up on Silver Star Road, about 3 blocks up past the junction of Pleasant Valley Road and Silver Star Road.
Yeah.
On the right-hand side. Give me a yell one day. I'll take you for a tour.
Would love to see it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's pretty impressive.
So,
you know?
like walking into a RCMP building with all this equipment and stuff they have now.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
amazing.
Sweet. So, did you guys have to raise all that money yourself, or did the province kick in?
Fundraised, sold our firstborn. Well, didn't sell my firstborn. He's still. But the crew worked so hard in establishing that, and we had committees that were the building committees and this type of thing. They did just an amazing job. We have a state-of-the-art facility that is the envy of search and rescue in the province of British Columbia. And kudos.
Vancouver doesn't have anything.
Oh no, they have theirs, but ours is just it's pretty spectacular.
Oh, it'll be all right. How long ago did they finish this?
3 years ago now.
Okay, so it's all it'll be up to date for sure.
Yeah, it's up to date, and it's good for the next 70 years. Okay,
Crazy.
and then we'll be looking for something else.
So what are you guys doing? Like, how's the membership doing? Is you guys got lots of members still?
Our membership is strong. I think we're around 50, 60 members right now. We do an intake every year or every couple of years, and it's not for the faint of heart. Okay, it's I'd like to be a member. When I joined Search and Rescue, if you got your pants on with a zipper to the front, you were in. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It was one of those things. But you know what happened is that over the years, we get so many young people that are joining that have tremendous skills. The skills are amazing. They've climbed like places like some of our skilled climbers. They've climbed Annapurna, which is South America. Okay, they're swiftwater rescue techs, they're rope techs, they're first aid techs.
Oh, good.
So, and then they all come together. So what we do is we put out an application, we do an interview, and then we go through a training process. And the training process is fairly lengthy, but then it culminates into an overnighter out there in the bush where it's bungle in the jungle and, this type of thing. And then once they do that, then they have another full year where they have to attend so many events and so many searches and this type of thing. And then once they've completed that, then they become a full member of the group. And that means they get their jackets and they get all their PPE and,
Is there a lot of people then trying to get in?
Yeah, there's some that, we get a fair number, but like I said, we're pretty picky.
Yeah, well, you'd have to be.
Yeah,
You're playing with people's lives for sure. Yes.
You have first aid, and you have to go through the criminal records check, and you're driving, all this type of thing. It all adds up.
And when do they typically put the word out to that you're taking in new members? Like
January, February.
February.
Yeah.
So if anybody was interested, they would search out the Vernon Search and Rescue and.
They can, and of course, we end up with we get searchers from other groups, okay, that have gone through and see the certification for becoming a basic SAR is consistent throughout the province, okay. Mm-hmm. So if you have gone through your SAR training with another group, you can come to our group and make application, and if you've got your certification, then we're looking at you very favorably.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Which would make sense, because then you don't have to do all the training, and
exactly.
it's a lot less work and stuff for sure. I can see, though, that there would be a lot of people interested. Now, actually, do I? Because let's face it, young people today are totally different than when I grew up and when you grew up. So I guess that's probably the question why I asked is if you guys are having troubles, but obviously not. There seems to be a lot of tech in the world that are people doing it. Now, I noticed on your shirt you got wildlife control.
Yeah. So that's my business.
Okay.
Okay. So Wise Wildlife Control Services. We basically handle everything from the U.S. Well, we'll go down as far as the U.S. border. Not very often down that far, but
Oh, wow.
and up to Kamloops and I've been around the world. I've been like to England and places like that doing different.
What would you be doing in England?
There was a film crew that came to British Columbia that were looking for a cat trapper.
Cat, like
A cat, as in big cats.
like lions and leopards or something like that.
Well,
Big cats.
panthers.
Okay.
This type of thing. And if you go online and look up the Beast of Bodmin Moor,
Let's be looking up the Beast of Bodmin Moor.
Beast of Bodmin Moor, that was me. They hired me. They came over here. They spent 10 days with me here, hired me here, and then took me to England for, I think I spent 29 days in England.
They hired you here to do.
To chase cats in England. Okay, to chase.
Okay, but they came over here.
Watched me, followed me around. I caught a lynx for him. I called one in for him. I called one right like from here to the window from him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, okay, things like that.
That's got to be a bit scary when you're calling a cat like that in that close.
Dude,
oh come on! What's that?
To put this up.
Go to number 4 there. Should it work?
Yeah, so it's
There we go.
Yeah,
So
Beast of Bodmin Moor.
what are we looking at here? Wild big cats.
Oh,
This is an article about you as a beast.
no. It says there has been stories about a large wild cat roaming the isolated moors in the center of Cornwall. And
Yeah.
Oh, and that's what they hired for you to go. Oh, okay.
Okay, so, and it was a bunch of nonsense.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. So they even talked, these so-called cat experts over there even talked the military to going out, trying to protect the people and killing sheep and this type of thing.
So they came over here, watched what you did, hired you, took you over there
Took me over there.
after they've tried military and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff to try and deal with this. They bring you in,
Yeah.
and you do.
I run around the countryside for 20 some odd days tracking cats, which weren't. Okay?
They weren't cats.
No.
What were they?
Dogs.
They couldn't tell the difference between a cat and a dog.
No, you know what? You got to remember that we live in a different part of the world.
Okay.
Okay, and the part of the world that we live in, we have things like that. Okay, so they're taking pictures of cats that are house cats. Okay, and blowing them out of proportion.
Was this somebody doing this on purpose?
Yeah,
It was a scam.
Well, no, they were. You could call it. I won't say that, but
Okay. Somebody was messing with somebody else's
Yeah,
mind. Is what was
exactly.
going on. Okay.
So it was pretty interesting. Let me tell you. Okay?
So you go there and you're hunting
I'm hunting
Cats.
alien big cats
for
And,
21 days.
Well, almost a month, and we're going down. We went down to and saw the Amur leopards, and and I'm trying to tell these people, you're talking a cat that's got a hand that's bigger than mine, and they're saying, oh yeah, it tapped him on the cheek and just made a little tiny scratch. I said, if it had tapped him on the cheek,
His head had been gone.
yeah, it would have laid his cheek right open from top to bottom. So
Right.
I do have a video. I will find you a copy and let you watch it.
Okay. So once you discovered that they were chasing dogs, what did they say to you? Like, no, you're crazy. There's definitely cats here.
Exactly.
That's what they said?
Yeah, but I'm going to let you watch the movie of this Beast of Bodmin Moor, and the last statement says it all. Okay,
All right.
and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but the
Okay.
last statement says it all. It is hilarious.
And where can people watch this?
I don't know if it's online anymore, but I'll loan you a copy. And you
Okay.
can, I think I've got a copy left, and you can have a look. See.
And if I can find it, I'll put it up on the
Yeah.
video, a link to it. Crazy. So you're there for 29 days. You come back. So let's continue. So and then you do this all around the province here as well, too, right?
My business, wildlife control, is We handle everything. I spent time as a bear trapper for the ministry. We trap.
Do they still trap bears? I heard somewhere along the line they don't trap them anymore.
No, they're not trapping as many as they used to, but it reaches a point in time where you have to. Okay, you have to. As much as we don't like to do it, the folks are, when people's lives are in risk or in danger, then you've got to do something. You've got to step up and.
Gotcha. And you said you've been doing quite a few bears in this area.
Oh yeah, I trap bear here. This is going back quite a few years, but I trap bear up in this part of the area here.
Okay.
Okay, myself and the old conservation officer Gord Gosling trap bear up in this part of the country together.
I know we had one this spring that kept visiting. If you looked at our garbage can outside, you'd see the teeth holes in it.
Yeah, they're a pain in the patoot.
Yeah, we've been actually pretty lucky. He hasn't come back. We came back 2 nights. The second night, he knocked over a lamp we had out there, so I think it scared the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And he ran. He hasn't been back since. So.
Oh, that's good. So, and we deal with things like we deal with raccoons, lots of raccoons, bobcats, this type of thing. Just...
Hey, we were actually having a conversation about that the other day. We don't have raccoons up here. At least we have never seen
one.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we know we have them at our shop down in Enderby, but I've never seen one up here.
So raccoon is an alien introduced species. They're not a native species to the interior of British Columbia.
Oh, really?
Okay. They're on the coast, but they're not here.
Okay.
And as such, they are really, really nasty. And it's not so much like they will savage your dog. They have, of course, opposable thumbs. They can grab onto things and they can pull your dog in and just savage your dog. And
I've heard of that happening, yeah.
And a big raccoon. I've caught raccoons. My biggest one's 45 pounds.
Oh.
Okay, which is bigger than my border collie.
Yeah, that's a big raccoon.
That's a dandy big raccoon. But the big thing with them is that they carry that raccoon roundworm. And the roundworm it's the terminology is zoonotic, and it's transferable to human beings. And if you get it, you can't get rid of it.
And what does it do to you?
You get a worm in your system that travels throughout your system, usually through your nervous system. Goes up, it'll cause blindness, it'll sever the back of your optic nerve and that. It'll get into your brain, eventually it can kill you.
Oh, wow.
It's a nasty. Okay, this is like a really pervasive worm, and you can go online and
do you have to get bit by them or
no?
Just
here's
a
the bad
scratch?
part. So raccoons, when they poo, okay, they have this feces on the ground, and if it's in your garden and it dries out, you can start raking your garden, and it becomes aerosolic.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and then the moisture on your eye, it can stick to the moisture on your eye, or you can inhale it. Okay, so
Is there many cases of that happening around here?
No, there isn't, fortunately.
Good.
Okay, but what you do is people don't understand that. How do you get rid of this stuff? Well, what you need to do is that it's not just bleach doesn't kill it. Straight bleach will not kill them. Combination of heat and bleach. So like I take a liter of water, I put a quarter of a cup of bleach in there in boiling water, wet down the area, scoop it up. Okay, like I mist it down, scoop it up, double bag it, put it in the garbage, disinfect my tools.
I'm going to buy myself a hazmat suit by the sounds of things. Clean up around our shop.
Yeah, so when you're cleaning up raccoon poo, you just don't want to be. You want to get that spray bottle with some boiling water and the heat and the combination of heat and bleach, or
so this is carrying a virus that bleach doesn't kill.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Straight bleach won't kill it. Okay, it's the heat that kills it.
I thought bleach killed everything.
No. Okay, I'd have been dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's
The raccoon roundworm. Okay.
Raccoon roundworm. Never heard of that.
Yeah.
I've heard of like the hantavirus from mice and stuff.
Yeah. Hantavirus is another one. And then, we got ticks and hantavirus. And I do a whole series on zoonotic diseases that are transferable to.
Where do you do this series on?
I do ones for. I'm going to be doing one for regional district
Okay.
for their crew, and I talk about things like plants, like poison hemlock and different types of plants that are poisonous to individuals, to human beings. Okay, talk about ticks. I do a thing on snakes.
Well, I've seen lots of pictures with you and snakes. You know,
Yeah, I do.
in my world, we call guys like you big kahunas.
We do
There's
lots of
snake.
snake ones, eh?
Yeah.
So
Got one of the. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yep.
yeah, that's a good one.
Where did you catch that guy?
That one was right at Cal Lake, right where you're going into the Yellow Gate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
On the road in.
yeah, that was off a lady's back porch. You know, so
Yeah, wow, crazy. And you just walk up there and grab a rattlesnake.
well, no, I got a snake stick in the truck. I'm never without one.
Have you ever been bit?
No.
No.
Absolutely not. These guys that are up there that are playing with snakes and whatever, I'm not into that. I'm into moving them where it's safe for the snake and it's safe for me.
Okay.
I don't want to ever get bit by one. It's a very nasty scenario.
How many snakes have you caught now? Hundreds?
Yeah.
And you haven't been bit, so
No.
it's a safe way of doing it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and I train people too. I show them how to handle snakes properly.
That's what we were talking about. You're going to be doing a course for the regional district,
Yeah.
so that's not open to the public then.
Not right now.
Do you have courses that you teach?
I can if there's a bunch of people that want to get together and have a talk.
How about schools? Do you go into schools and do?
Oh yeah,
and speak in schools?
we do. My daughter is also a trapping instructor, Holly.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we both go into schools.
So Holly's taken up following in Papa's footsteps. Nice.
So, you know.
Perfect.
Yeah, and so her and I go and talk to kids in schools. I think it's pretty cool to be able to go on and help. You know, let them see what they
Absolutely, the
yeah.
education that they get from something like that. Because maybe not so much here, but maybe in Kelowna or Vancouver, kids they're not subjected to this kind of stuff. They don't know anything about it. So then the first time they go with mom and dad out camping someplace, that's when they run into trouble, right?
Yeah.
So-
And you know, we try to teach them, like, when we're, you know, like, if you can't recognize what it is, don't touch it. Mm-hmm. That's pretty straightforward. You know, it doesn't matter who or what you're dealing with. You know, so.
Yeah, well, I'm apparently still not smart enough to do that. I go truck right into the bush. That was your fault, though. You taught me that.
Yeah, I did.
I will never forget the first time that you took. It wasn't the first time. One of the first times you took me hunting. We were up above Whiteman's Creek area, and there we are going up there. We're first dusk.
Yeah.
I was pitch black. Right. You kicked my ass out of the truck in a clear block and drove away. I think I damn near shit myself. Even if I had a gun, I didn't care. That was the first time. I was like, oh, and there were some noises. So yeah, you've done that to me. You've taught me how to fish. We spent a lot of time out in the bush, actually.
Yeah.
We did for
And you know what? It's coming back now.
Is it?
You know, it's coming back when I hear you talk about it.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And then you spread it on to your kids.
Oh yeah. Zach, he was a hunter. Tawny, not so much. He said no. She loved camping and stuff, but no, fishing and hunting was not her thing, which is fine.
Yeah.
Some people it is, some people it ain't. And I also think that's a different era. Is there much of this going on anymore, hunting and fishing in the younger generations?
It is, but you know what? The way we grew up, it'll never happen. It'll never happen again.
How do you mean?
Like the times that I spent, you know, like the door opened and I was gone, and that just doesn't happen anymore.
Oh, you mean for young children?
For the young guys going out there and you know, like my first time trapping, how I got into a whole thing about trapping. I'm about 10, 11 years old. I'm going down a slough in Pitt Meadows. All right. My mom lived in Pitt Meadows. My dad lived up in Vulcan. I'm going down a slough in Pitt Meadows. I got my bow and arrow with me. And around the corner comes this guy in about an 18-foot dugout canoe.
Okay.
Big old pirogue. And he's pulling along. And he pulls up to me and says, "What you doing, boy?" I went, "I'm hunting muskrats." And he says, "Nah, you want to be trapping them." I went, "Trapping?
What is trapping?
And he points to the bottom of his boat, and he's got traps and muskrats and forked sticks. And I went, "Ooh." He says, "Come on in, I'll show you how."
Okay.
Okay. You see that? You'd never see that nowadays.
No.
Everybody would be just absolutely terrified.
Beside themselves,
So
too. Yeah.
he took me trapping. And you know what? Within 2 weeks, I was catching my own muskrats. Well, I never stopped.
You still trapped to this day?
Still trapping to this day. You know, here I am. I'm 77 years old, and I'm still doing it, you know.
Do what you gotta love, right?
Yeah, you man.
Do what you love what you do.
And learn so much.
So how does a young person even get into doing that kind of stuff right now? Is there courses that you teach or somebody else teaches for like trapping or?
There's trapping courses, and as a professional instructor for the BC Trappers Association, we teach courses. My daughter teaches courses. I teach courses. There's courses available through the BCTA.
Is there lots of people attending these courses today?
No, because we take small amounts. We only take 6 to 10 type people at a time. Okay.
And are you filling that class in
Oh,
at
yeah.
6 to 10 people? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then what you want to do is once you get your license, everybody says, "Well, gee, I like to do what you're doing." Well, it's great. But there's a lot more to it than just people don't realize, you know, because not only do you have to, you get your trapping license, okay, which is great. And then you have just a whole mess of stuff, the legalities that you have to go through.
And legalities in what
Oh,
way?
yeah. You need liability insurance. You need workers' compensation. Okay, your WCB. You need all the municipal permits. Okay.
To go out and do what you do for trapping
to
wildlife.
do what I do. Plus, if you've got no experience, people are relying on you to catch what you're going after. And if you've got no experience, it's going to make life really difficult. So we always say to them, trap first. Get involved with somebody, learn how to trap. And then once you learn how to trap, then put that skill towards your wildlife stuff. And there's a whole bunch of things that are over and above that. Like it's tough to explain, but how do you catch a pack rat, bushy-tailed wood rat? How do you catch one of those guys? Or how do you catch a marmot? Okay, or
Right.
How do you catch a raccoon?
Well, I know how you catch a marmot. Just let him crawl into your truck engine, and you can take him wherever you wanted him to go with you.
So if he's in your engine, open your hood.
We did that.
Yeah.
And he ran out of one truck and right
ran
into Zach's truck.
Yeah. So then lift the hood on that one. If you keep the hoods open,
Yeah.
no problems.
Oh, that one rode right from Enderby. He came from Sycamoose to Enderby, and then lifted a ride from Enderby to Vernon in Zach's truck.
And you know what? That's what happens. Okay. But we get things like I get snakes in vehicles. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. You get a 4-foot gopher snake in a vehicle, and everybody just.
Or
Man.
gopher snakes. Well, rattlesnake we know is dangerous.
Okay. So
Gopher snake?
Gopher snake is it's a non-venomous species, but they're the biggest snake in BC. Gopher snakes. Sometimes people call them bull snakes, but they're
Okay.
actually a gopher snake. Okay. And they can get up to 5 feet long. Okay, and as thick as your wrist.
Will they hurt you?
Oh, yeah.
They'll strike at you?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Have you been
Good
bit by
stuff.
one of those?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
more than once.
Okay.
Okay. And I great story is I had one in kindergarten behind a fence, and I couldn't get my snake stick in there to get him. So what I did is I took and just started poking him with my finger until he reached over and grabbed me, and then I put my thumb on top of his head.
You let him bite you.
Oh yeah, and then I grabbed him by the head and pulled him out through the wire, right?
You literally let the snake bite
Oh
you.
yeah.
Do they have big fangs?
Well, no, they don't have big fangs, but they enough to draw blood. Okay, it's not
Okay,
just one of those.
We know how to catch snakes now. Probably don't want to do that with a rattlesnake.
No, you
though.
don't want. No. So it's very cool.
Kids, don't try this at home.
No, absolutely not. Okay, but it's one of those things when we're dealing with wildlife is education. So I go in, I get a rattlesnake on the ground, or I've got a gopher snake on the ground, or it might be a terrestrial wandering garter snake. I always try to educate the public when I'm in there, so it's pretty cool.
Do you and Holly do like a video when you're doing some of these things?
I've got some.
Do you?
Yeah, I
Do
got
you
lots of pictures.
Do you put them on YouTube?
No, I have.
anything
Actually,
like
I should be doing more of that. I don't. It's
Well, see, your knowledge is not something that's easily attained these days. You go to university or college and they teach you how to operate a piece of electronics. They don't teach this old school how to survive life, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
we
if you and Holly could get these things uploaded, they would definitely people would watch them.
we call it 2 degrees above zero.
What does that mean?
Well, you go to university and get degrees, eh?
Yeah.
And 2 degrees, but you don't have any basic ground skills.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's those ground skills that you really truly need. Like how do you deal with things like that? How can I teach somebody, like when I'm teaching tracking, for example? I try to teach people how to track and how to find sign and this type of thing. And it's just, you have to get on the ground and do it. Mm-hmm. If you don't do it,
Which is becoming a lost talent.
oh yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I can't imagine taking a 16-year-old today, taking him out up into Whiteman's Creek area and dropping him off. Poor guy would have a heart failure. He wouldn't know what to do. He wouldn't be able
Well,
to
you
find
did.
his way out.
Look at you. You did wonderfully well.
I thought for a while there you didn't like me.
Always liked you guys. Yeah.
I'll never forget the time we were out hunting and I totally lost you. I come around the corner and there you were sitting under a big old pine tree with a fire going and it's like 6 feet of snow. And I'm like, there's Pete Wise. No problems there out in the bush. Yeah, and that's unfortunate because a lot of younger folks nowadays, and I think even into the Gen X, I think are all good, but I think the millennials definitely are missing out on a lot of backwoods stuff unless that's something they see somebody like you out there going and you end up being a mentor for them and gets them out there. But the majority of them, I don't think, do that anymore.
We instruct commercial pilots. We do survival courses for commercial pilots.
Oh, wow.
And so usually 1 or 2 times a year, we will take sometimes up to 20 students, take them out in the bush. And usually it's bungalow.
Like you're flying them up in the middle of nowhere?
No,
Okay.
we're taking them up in the bush. And then we set up a scenario for them. And it's like bungle in the jungle. Okay. Usually try to go in December when it's ugly out. Okay. So.
Overnight?
Oh, yeah.
And camping over. I did that once when I was a kid. I swore I would never do it again.
Well,
Yeah.
so we teach them. They get 3 days with me, okay, and so and myself and another gentleman, Trevor Honigman, he works with me, and we go out and we instruct this survival course, and I've had guys come, and we get guys from all over the world. We get students, pilots from these are commercial pilots, and they have to have survival as part of their education.
So
Okay?
commercial like Air Canada pilots? Okay.
Okay. They're doing the baby strokes right now. Okay. So now what happens is that we get students from Malaysia, we get them Saudi Arabia, we get them from all over the world.
Wow.
Okay. So now what ends up happening is that they come up and I've had pilots come up to me and we've taken them out in that kind of a situation in the snow and bungle in the jungle and this type of thing. And I've had pilots come to me and say, without a doubt, I would have died. This would have been the end to me if it hadn't been for your training.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's pretty heady stuff.
That's
Yeah. So when
Absolutely.
you can take and make that kind of an impression on somebody, that by doing it the right way and relaxing and taking your time, you're going to have an opportunity here to survive.
And you guys run these courses like quite often?
Yeah, we run them usually 1 or 2 times a year. I've done BCIT. I've done. I do the Southwest Flight Interior down there, and we do them.
And today you're still doing these courses?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good on you, Pete.
Well, that's
77 years old and you're still out there teaching people how to survive. I love that. I love that.
why not?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's wonderful. Me and my doggy, okay. I got Missy, my cohort in crime, and we just go and do our thing. You know,
Crazy.
yeah.
And how many pilots would you have to take out with you at a time then?
We take anywhere from a small class would be 10, 11, a big class would be 20.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we take them out. We get 1 day in the classroom, so we give them things like bear and cougar awareness, and how to pick campsites and whatever. And then the next day, we meet up at 8:00 in the morning, and we take them up in the bush. And so we take them up
In December.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cruel.
Take them up
That's
in the bush.
mean.
And I've gone up ahead of time and checked the sites to make sure and kick them out. Mm-hmm. Okay. And away they go, and they're given directions, and they have to build their own shelters and their own camps.
So you take them up there, you take a group of 20 people up there, you drop them off in a spot, and you point each guy in a different direction, and he has to go do...
No, what we do is we try to say if it's a pilot and a co-pilot,
Yeah.
or pilot, co-pilot, and a passenger. Okay, so you can either have 2 or 3 people in a team. Okay, and
But you go that way.
Yeah, well, no,
And go that way.
we let them pick their own ways. Okay, so where do you want to go?
Have you
Okay?
ever lost anybody?
No.
Have you?
No. See, this is so. In our world, we have what we call crash landings. Okay, a crash landing means that you do a bad thing, like I catch you with alcohol or drugs. Mm-hmm. Okay, you're out of here.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You're here to learn how to do something, not here to
Yeah,
have fun.
I've canned a whole class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they thought it was so much fun until there was, I think, 14 in the class. 2 of them survived because they stayed in camp, and the rest of them decided they were going to party. Mm-hmm. And I fired the whole shoot match of them. That's the way it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, your life depends on it. Okay, and you as a pilot, you're the one that's in charge. Unless you ask a smart question. Mm-hmm. The smart question is, anybody here that's got more experience than I have?
Right?
So if you have a flight with the 3 of us and we touch down, who are you going to pick to do your survival stuff?
Right?
Who are you going to pick to be the boss? Now, I'm not the boss. Okay? The pilot's the boss. The person with the highest level of survival skills is going to be the one that's going to get you through it.
But he's not the boss.
He's not the boss.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of psychology involved to it. So
Well, it would be kind of an strike that back. It's not interesting. I never want to be in that position where I'm in a plane crash and
No.
you got to figure out who the boss is, because then you've got just so many different attitudes to deal with. And if there isn't anybody like you there,
well,
when's your next course? I think I'm going to come take it.
I'll throw you in there. That's a fact. How are we doing?
Oh, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other than that, you're doing... So I'm assuming you're really busy with the city and picking up animals, getting rid of stuff that nobody wants to deal with, animals they don't want to deal with, and you're getting calls at all hours of the day still.
Yeah. We also do a lot of rescue. Okay. Now I am not a rehabber. Okay, I don't want anybody to understand that right off the bat. But I am a conduit to rehab rescue societies. So Interior Wildlife Rescue, Eva Hartman down in Summerland, the BC Wildlife Park in Kamloops, things like that. But people know me. They phone me up and they say, "Hey, Pete, I got an injured hawk or an injured owl or whatever." So I will tell them how to safely capture that thing. And then everybody goes, "Oh, it's got a big scary beak." No, don't worry about the beak. Worry about his feet.
Right.
Okay, so drop a towel on it, pick it up from behind, put it in a box, and bring it to me.
So if you can. Okay, so you get a towel and you put it over top of an owl. With an owl, its head can do a 360 degrees.
270.
270. Okay,
Yeah.
can't go right around. And he's not gonna. His beak isn't gonna take a big chunk out of your hand.
I've never been. I've only ever think I've been bitten once by an owl, but I've had talons go right through my finger from one side to the other. Okay, because I made a
They
mistake.
can't release once they.
Well, that's terrible thing. Okay, because it took two people to get him off of me, and he was right through the middle of my finger, like right through here. Eh? So it's painful, but you bring them to me, and then what I do is I assess them. Okay, I take a look at them. I have a lady that acts as right now. She's doing the transfers for me, so she will run him to Kamloops, or he will take them to Eva down in Interior Wildlife Rescue Rehabilitation down there. So the birds come in. I keep them overnight. I feed them. I water them. I try to, I've had them come in where they've been dead. And then I look at them and I went, and you know what? I start giving them a little bit of Gatorade and things like that. And, next thing you know, the bird's coming back up alive.
Oh,
and
wow.
we get them to help. Once they go into help, they go to rehab. They, like say the BC Wildlife Park, they go into rehab down there. They take and they help the bird along, okay? And then once the bird is ready to release, they bring them back to me again, and then I go and get them out.
Okay.
Take them.
So where are these places at?
So the BC Wildlife Park is at the Fawcett Center, it's called. It's in the BC Wildlife Park in Kamloops.
Okay.
It's right at Lafarge there. Wonderful folks. Really.
Is that a government-run facility, or is
No,
it's
it's all
all
private.
private? So
Okay,
they survive
and-
on donations.
Yeah.
And do they do tours and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, you got the BC Wildlife Park there, right?
Okay.
Okay. So
That's they got the big yellow bear or
yeah,
something. Oh, yeah, okay.
exactly, right there.
Okay.
And then Eva Hartman, who is the Interior Wildlife Rescue Rehabilitation. They're a fairly new facility, but they're doing really good work. We're transferring these animals around, and we deal with everything. Like we're dealing
I was just going to ask how big, how small.
beavers. Boy, the whole world stops for a baby beaver.
Oh, I bet.
Okay.
I would stop for a baby. Yeah.
A
Cute thing.
You
Oh, they
know.
giggle?
Oh, yeah. They chortle. They are the cutest little damn things. But you have to realize is that in order to release a beaver, he has to be about 40 pounds, which is 2 years.
Oh, wow.
2 years of feeding one of those guys. That's huge. Okay?
So you said there's a place down in southern part of the province here, a rescue?
No, that's Eva Hartman.
No, okay. So you would take an animal to Eva Hartman for rehabilitation.
Yes. Yes.
So she is doing fundraising and stuff
Yes.
for her. Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a certain time of year that these places do their fundraisings?
They do it. I think they just did one here month and a half ago.
Okay.
Okay, I can send you the information on
Yeah,
that.
if you could do that, because then I'll just tag
Yeah,
it
'cause
on
there-
to the videos.
There's so much, and there's very few of us around. So what ends up happening is the people get out there and they pick up wildlife. They don't know how to look after it. Fawns. Oh God, I am just beside myself some days.
So people are picking up these fawns thinking they're abandoned when they're not?
They're not. Okay, it's like, would you walk into a nursery in a hospital and steal a kid?
Just because you don't see a mom and dad?
Just
Right.
because you don't see mom there, you go in the hospital and steal a kid. Well, no. Okay. Bad things happen.
Now, is there truth to the fact that if we pick up a fawn and then try and take it back to the mom will say, no, I don't want anything to do with you?
That's a wives' tale.
Is it? Okay, good.
Okay. It's like, who's, like a baby, who's going to abandon their kid?
Okay.
Okay.
So what do you want people to look for instead of picking up these fawns?
Just leave them be.
Just leave them?
Leave them alone. As long as they're not on the middle of the road. Okay. If they're on the middle of the road, pick them up and move them. Get them out on the grass. Okay. Other than that, just leave them be. Mom will take care of them. Okay. It's like baby ducks. Put the ducks back in the water. Mama ducks do not feed the babies.
They don't?
No, they do not. Baby ducks are on their own.
Really?
Okay? Exactly. Same thing with quail. They're on their own. Mama quail don't feed them.
As soon as they're born, that's it.
That's it, man. You're on your own, pal.
You might be eating chunks of gravel, but that's what you're eating today?
That's what you're eating
wow.
today. Yeah. So a lot of people don't understand that.
I would have,
Yeah.
I never would have thought that.
You know what? Information's free. You can phone me anytime you want. Okay, it's reasonable. You phone
Not
me at
after
7
7.
o'clock.
Yeah.
You're phoning me at 7 o'clock at night, I'm going to start getting a little cranky.
Growly about it, yeah.
But you can call me and I will give you what I can for information. I'll give you numbers and whatever.
Well, your phone is going to ring off the hook if that's...
Well, it does. It does. Like sometimes of the day I get like 10 calls in a row. Okay. I'll get homeless guys picking deer up.
Why?
Just a terrible situation. Well, they figure that they're cute. Okay. And they're wandering around with and I go nuts.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So the RAP line, RAPP, that the 1-800 number for the Conservation Officer Service, that's on my speed dial. Okay. Forever.
We're short on conservation officers.
We are. We could use more conservation officers.
Is that funding, or is it just nobody wants to do it?
Funding, combination of funding and bodies. We could definitely use more bodies. We could use more funding. Mm-hmm. There's a huge. We need more. Okay, put it to your blunt. You go down in the States, like in some of these places down there, like every second or third guy is a CO.
I have not seen a CO. I mean, Garden Lake is right up over here.
Yeah.
I have not seen a CO in years.
Yeah.
Years.
And I deal with them all the time. Okay, the guys are phoning me. And I really appreciate, they phone me and ask me, Pete, what do we do here? Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Same with call center in Victoria. Beth Davies down there in the call center in Victoria. They'll call me and say, hey, we got this or we got that. What can we do?
Yeah, it was a couple of years back here. A baby moose that got hit here on the road. And I think the police ended up shooting him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because I tried. Actually, our son, he stopped and gave it water and stuff, and we were trying to find a vet that would take him, and nobody would. So.
No, they can't. You see, that's the other thing is that the conservation officers and then the veterinarians, they can't touch them.
Why is that?
Well, that's just the way the law is. Okay, it's just like me. I can't go out and do something like if I've got a deer that's got busted back, like busted hips or whatever, I can't put that deer down unless I get permission. Okay, so I phone those guys and I'll tell them, I say it's Pete Wise, and they'll go, oh yeah, Petey, and I'll give them the situation and say, yep, go do it.
Okay.
Okay, so I do get permission to do that on more than one occasion, eh? So
that's heartbreaking too.
it is. It's really debilitating. Like having to put something down.
Yeah.
And bears and deer and moose and just one.
Yeah, actually, I basically haven't hunted in, I'm going to say, 10 years now? 'Cause I had a deer look at me once after I shot it, and that was the last time. Couldn't do it again.
Yeah. Some people can, some can't.
Yeah.
I deal with it all every day, Carmen, and it is difficult. Okay, it really and truly is. But we like them. Yeah.
How do you mean we like them?
Well, I like the animals.
I
Yeah.
don't know anybody that doesn't like animals, and I have nothing against people who hunt either at all.
No.
I mean, some people do it. Well, pretty much anybody that I know that hunts eats what they hunt.
Yeah.
And that's survival, and that's a skill that is lost too. Can you imagine if this thing in the Middle East ever blows up and we end up in a World War III?
I don't even want to think about it.
How would anybody survive?
Yeah.
The only way they're going to survive is with a piece of wood, like a 2x4, and going and stealing it from other people.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it's going to be.
Don't try stealing from me.
No. And I think you taught me enough that you wouldn't want to try and steal from me either.
No.
Nope.
Yeah. Wonderful. How we doing?
Oh, we're good.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm sure we could probably sit here and get stories for a month.
Ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am absolutely grateful that you actually took the time to come out here.
I would, Carmen and Renee, I've known you folks forever. Okay? You're like as close a family as you can get.
Well, we kind of lost track of each other
Yeah.
back there, and I don't know. When did you finish at the lodge?
I can't remember now. I went from the lodge. Where did I go? I went guiding.
Yeah, you got totally out of that
I went
business.
guiding. And then,
Were you there when it was Cadillac Jacks?
no.
Okay, so we both left probably about the same time then, because
Yeah, I believe we all left about
Yeah.
the same time.
yeah.
But you know what? It was an interesting thing. We had a marvelous run. Had just a wonderful run.
With what?
But at the bar.
Remember the lip syncing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Wake me up before you go.
Wake me up. I love it.
I think I still have that video somewhere. I'm gonna
Oh,
have to,
if you do, I'd love to get a copy of it.
oh,
I bet
absolutely.
Terry Black would like a copy of it too. Terry was in it with us.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't remember.
Mark, Terry,
Mark,
Pete, you,
Pete,
me,
yeah.
Donna,
Yep.
Tally.
Donna, yeah, Tally. Crazy. That was a long time ago.
Remember one of the guys coming up to me and says, "I didn't know you played saxophone."
Right? And what was it called? It was a lip sync contest.
Yes. Do you know what that is?
No, what is that?
Any idea? Those are original Hudson's Bay trade beads from the 1800s.
Really?
Yeah, those are what they call green hearts. So you can see inside there, the glass is green. It's Venetian glass.
Okay.
And those are green hearts, and that's what they used to trade for beaver pelts for.
The natives.
Yeah,
Crazy.
and they dealt back, that's about 1800.
And where did you get that?
I've collected them over the years. They're pretty pricey now, but
So it's a trading bead.
it's a trade bead.
So it was basically, was it like,
Yeah, for Hudson's Bay Company.
was it cash? Is that what you would treat
Yeah,
that as cash?
you'd be trading beads for beaver pelt.
And what would the natives do with the beads?
The same thing I'm doing right now is wearing them.
Huh.
Yeah,
Crazy how things change in
little
life.
bit of history.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
Okay, Pete, my friend, thank you very much for spending this time with us. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
And if we can get together again
I'm
next
glad.
year or something, we can do it again.
You bet. I'd be glad to.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Renee.
You bet.